Bleh. The Vourdalak. They say it in the friggin' movie like 1,000 times. Synopsis: lost in a hostile forest, the Marquis de a noble emissary of the King of France, finds refuge in the home of a strange family. So, I watched this on Canopy. I had heard about this movie. I heard a lot of buzz about this movie because it's a vampire legend. It's not a vampire, but it's like a vampire. It's a blood-sucking undead that is from, it's an Eastern, not Eastern, it's just a European. I don't know if it's French particularly, but it's a European sort of, monster that we don't typically, it's a variant like the Strigoi. You have the Strigoi as a type of vampire. It's a variant of the vampire myth, basically, except that in this case, the undead doesn't feed on just random strangers, but prefers to feed on close relations. So whole families are, decimated by a loved one coming back as this creature, the Vourdalak. Fuck, I can't say that word. And they get eaten one by one. And what makes this movie really interesting is that it's the monster itself is a puppet. And it's like a humanoid puppet, but it's really effective. You could see it right there in the poster a little bit. It's really effective. It's really unnerving. It's a stylized choice that I really appreciated. In the same way we watched Onyx the Fortuitous, and like when they get their souls sucked out, they turn into these like drippy green zombie type creatures. And that was really effective, because there's a realness to them. It doesn't feel like a fake CGI nothing, but there's something otherworldly about the way they move, because they're not real. They're not actually animated. They're puppets. And case in point with this vampiric creature, and this dude watches, they're fighting the Turks. The family is fighting the Turks. The Turks have occupied this part of France. And the father goes off to war, and he says, if I'm not back in 6 days, I've become one of these creatures, these Vourdalaks or whatever, and you shouldn't let me get near you. And he comes back, and he comes back as this, like, you don't know if he was a skeleton beforehand or if he was always like this, very skeletal. And he just knocks off his family one by one. There's like this thing, they like chew on the shroud of their death shroud. It's like that's also really unnerving. And this guy who was just wandering through a hostile forest, he gets caught up, the emissary guy, he gets caught up in the whole situation, and he falls in love with one of the daughters, and it's a whole thing. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. The pacing, it's very good. It's very good. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but the pacing was a little slow. It takes a little while before things start to really cook in the horror department. I felt like the story was not engaging enough. I needed more of a hook to really pull me in. I gave it 3 stars out of 5 stars, maybe for that reason. But I will say this, in the monster puppet effects department, just really great, really effective, really enjoyed that. I definitely check it out. If you're a fan, if you like vampire movies, you have to watch this movie. It should be required viewing. Why? Because it's just a variation of the vampiric myth that we just don't see very often, So I was glad to have seen it for that reason. Streaming on Canopy right now for free. Here's the beautiful thing about Canopy. If you have a library card, you basically have access to what is essentially a library version of Netflix. They have stuff that from all different genres and everything, but there's a lot of they have Criterion movies. They have a lot of stuff, and it's free. And here's the best part. When you sign up for Canopy through your library card, you are supporting your local library, and supporting your local library is probably the most important thing we can do. The library is this incredible resource that we do not that we've taken for granted for all these years. And now they're slowly disappearing as funding gets cut, so it's beautiful that Canopy, and Hoopla is another resource like that. Hoopla is also through libraries. And like I said, depending on your library, depending on your region, you can have access to the Canopy ecosystem. It's wonderful. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So that is that movie, which I cannot pronounce the name of. Okay.